tells us what he would do if he is elected president. So here tonight, I will show you one example of Donald Trump's worldview and intentions. Please roll the clip.
The worst people are the enemies from within.
The enemy from within. Those people are more dangerous, the enemy from within, than Russia and China.
These people should be put in jail the way they talk about our judges and our justices. Now, if you had one really violent day, one rough hour, and I mean real rough.
I think the bigger problem are the people from within. We have some very bad people. We have some sick people, radical left lunatics. And I think they're and it should be very easily handled by, if necessary, by National Guard, or if really necessary, by the military.
So you heard his words. You heard his words coming from him. He's talking about the enemy within Pennsylvania. He's talking about the enemy within our country, Pennsylvania. He's talking about that he considers anyone who doesn't support him or who will not bend to his will an enemy of our country. It's a serious issue. He is saying that he would use the military to go after them. Think about this. And we know who he would target. And we know who he would target because he has attacked them before. Journalists whose stories he doesn't like. Election officials who refuse to cheat by filling extra votes and finding extra votes for him. Judges who insist on following the law instead of bending to his will. This is among the reasons I believe so strongly that a second Trump term would be a huge risk for America and dangerous. Donald Trump is increasingly unstable and unhinged. And he is out for unchecked power. That's what he's looking for. He wants to send the military after American citizens. He has worked to prevent women from making their own health care decisions and threaten your fundamental freedoms and rights, like the freedom to vote, the freedom to be safe from gun violence, the freedom to breathe clean air and drink clean water, the freedom to love who you love openly and with pride. So here in Pennsylvania, I say to those who know best, when freedom is on the line, Americans always answer the call. We always answer the call. And in this election, vote. And so, to your point, in this election, we will answer the call again.
Vice President Harris is being more aggressive in questioning 78-year-old Donald Trump's mental fitness for president for another 4 years. Over the weekend, Kamala Harris released a summary of her medical records, revealing that she is, quote, in excellent health, and adding, quote, she possesses the physical and mental resiliency required to successfully execute the duties of the presidency, to include those as chief executive, head of state, and commander-in-chief. In North Carolina yesterday, Kamala Harris said this.
And he's not being transparent with the voters. He's not being transparent. So check this out. He refuses to release his medical records. I've done it. Every other presidential camp, every every other presidential candidate in modern era has done it, he is unwilling to do a 60 Minutes interview. Like every other major party candidate has done for more than half a century. He is unwilling to meet for a second debate. And here's the thing, it makes you wonder, why does his staff want him to hide away? One must question, are they afraid that people will see that he is too weak and unstable to lead America? Is that what's going on?
Today, with the stock market hitting a new record high, the Harris campaign highlighted a survey of economists in the Wall Street Journal who agreed that Donald Trump's policies would drive up prices, interest rates, and the national debt while hurting manufacturing jobs. That survey says of the 50 economists who responded to the survey's question on inflation, 68% said prices would rise faster under Trump than under Harris. 61% of economists saw interest rates being higher under a hypothetical President Trump than under Harris. The Journal's survey asked economists how Trump's proposed broad-based tariffs would affect domestic manufacturing employment. Of the 44 economists who responded, 59% said employment would be lower. Before her rally tonight, Vice President Harris visited a local black-owned small business for a conversation with black men from the Erie, Pennsylvania area, after visiting with black farmers ahead of her remarks in North Carolina yesterday. In an interview today, Vice President Harris said this.
Black men are no different from anybody else. They expect that you have to earn their vote. And that's why I'm out here doing the work that I'm doing about talking with folks, listening with folks, because I'm running for president of the United States. And it is incumbent on me to earn the support. And that is why I'm talking with folks about the work that I have done in my career, whether it be in particular as vice president, what I've done to put more billions of dollars actually into community banks to increase access to capital for small business owners. Even before I was running for president, I convened a bunch of black small business owners, all who were men, and I purposely convened them. I brought them into my ceremonial office at the White House to have a meeting about what their needs are and to make sure that they have the information about what's available to them in terms of financing, capital, and access to capital, support for what they want to do in terms of building or growing their business.
Leading off our discussion tonight is Quinton Fowkes, Principal Deputy Campaign Manager for the Harris-Walz campaign. Thank you very much for joining us again. Who are the voters that the Harris-Walz campaign is now targeting in these final 3 weeks?
Well, look, I think that there's a number of voters out there that we still need to continue to persuade, and there's a number of voters out there that we need to mobilize. And so on the mobilization side, we're speaking to everybody who's already supporting us. States are voting. Early voting has already begun in a number of places, and we're encouraging those voters who we know are supportive of us right now to get out and vote. The voters that we're still targeting, Lawrence, on the persuasion side are those voters who are undecided. It's been hard for us to reach. We have left no stone unturned. We are looking in every nook and cranny to make sure we're in every publication, every channel, every radio station, every newspaper ad that we can possibly be in to make sure that we are reaching these voters because we have to get out what's at stake in this election. And the vice president has been doing an excellent job of laying that out. She has been on the trail relentlessly making sure that she is talking to these voters, that they're seeing her front and center talking about the stakes of this election.
As you go forward with the time that's left, it seems that you are not concentrating on the Southwest as much as you had been in the past. Arizona, say, the concentration seems to be North Carolina, Pennsylvania.
Well, no, look, I think that the vice president was just in Nevada. She was participating in a Univision town hall. She then also did some stuff for the BET Awards. So, again, we have been in the Southwest. Look, Lawrence, this is a margin of error race in every single one of the battleground states, Michigan, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, Georgia, North Carolina, Arizona, Nevada, and Nebraska, too. We are very clear about where we need to go. every single state on the map is still in play. And so we are playing a wide map. We are keeping them all. We're going to continue to double down on our investments in the map across the board to make sure that we're leaving nothing to chance in this election. And we are in the game in every single one of these states.
What are you looking for in the polls, and what do you think viewers who are interested in the polls should be looking at?
Look, Lawrence, I'm a proponent, and this may sound a bit facetious, but I don't actually look at polls this close. At the end of the day, I think that we have done everything that we can. We see these numbers being extremely tight, 48-48, 49-49, some variances within the states. At the end of the day, this campaign is now going to win or lose based on the work that it does communicating with voters. We have built an infrastructure, and part of that is trusting the process. This is a very uncomfortable time, as it should be. We are in a divided country. We have been saying that since the very beginning, which is why we have invested. There is not a single poll that you can look at right now that is going to tell you the outcome of this election. This is going to come down to who has been putting in the work. And to that, I say that the proof is in the pudding. Donald Trump is hiding. He's at rallies, ranting and rambling, saying incoherent things. Vice President Harris is out putting in the work. Our volunteer base on the ground, our organizers are putting in the work, and we're going to continue to do that from now until November 5th.
It seems like a pretty big tactical decision to run video of your opponent at your own rally. That is new. Are you concerned at the possibility that showing some of that video could easily create a retaliation on the Trump side where they would edit video in a way to present Vice President Harris?
Well, look, I think that it is not a risk when your opponent is saying things like the things that Donald Trump is saying in the video clips that we're showing, talking about an enemy from within. Look, this is not AI. This isn't made up. These are actually things that are coming outside of his mouth. And so if he wants to play Vice President Harris at his rally, I would encourage him to do so. Just don't alter it. Don't put any AI in it. But I think when Donald Trump is continuing to double down and say the dangerous things, he is unstable, he is unfit, he is unchecked in his quest for power. And so if Donald Trump is going to continue to hide, we will show him to voters in the very real fashion of the things and the dangerous things that he is saying while he is sticking his head out, speaking to only MAGA loyalists who already support him.
Quentin Fowlkes, thank you very much for starting off our discussions tonight.
Thank you for having me, Lawrence.
Thank you. And coming up, if you want to know what Joe Biden really thinks of Bibi Netanyahu, it's all in Bob Woodward's new book, but most of it is too profane for me to say on TV. If you want to know what Arab leaders really think of Hamas, that's in here too, and it's not what they say publicly. The book also details how Joe Biden pushed Vladimir Putin back from the brink of nuclear war and how Joe Biden prevented Benjamin Netanyahu from launching a wider war in the Middle East, all while carrying his very private worries about his troubled son, Hunter Biden. We have a lot to cover next with Bob Woodward, whose new book is titled War and will be available tomorrow.
The Vote. It's as American as apple pie. It's iconic.
Got the flag up?
Patriotic. The Vote is as American as you. This November, step into the box and make it stick. Vote her up.
A presidential election is always incredibly high stakes. This is a presidential election about whether or not we are going to stay the same kind of country or whether we are going to radically change.